The MLB draft was a little bit of a letdown, and the last couple Guardians games have been a little bit of a letdown. But I spent some time really looking at the Browns' upcoming schedule, and we'll I think we'll talk about that a little bit today. Time to play the
We're gonna get to
schedule
that.
game.
Yeah,
Doesn't
we're
look
gonna
too
get to
rough,
that.
so we'll see.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
how was
yeah.
your weekend?
It was busy. Friday night I actually went salsa dancing, so that was a good time.
I went old school Friday night. My husband and I went out to that MGM theater at Northfield Park and
Okay.
saw the Michael Stanley band. They're
Oh,
doing that like
nice.
tribute tour with some of the
Yeah.
remaining members of Michael Stanley. Jonah Coslin sang lead, some members from the Resonators, and it was like clearly this is a band from the 70s and 80s, right? Because there was
Mhm.
more gray hair in this room than I see in a nursing home, and dudes with ponytails. Like, dude, you're 69 years old. You don't need to still have a ponytail. And people with walkers, I'm like, okay, this is my crowd. It's the 50 and 60-year-olds. We had a great time. It was fun.
Oh, good, good.
It was
Yeah,
a blast
and
from
then
the past. And
yeah, and
you were
then
salsa
Saturday,
dancing.
huh? What'd you say?
You were salsa dancing, and I'm going old school rock and roll.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I had a medical emergency on Saturday, so I spent the majority of the day in a hospital. I was supposed to go to the winery at Michelangelo's, which I've never been to before. I was so excited about going to, and
Where is
I
that
wasn't able to
at?
make it. In Richfield. So Michelangelo's, there are two places that I think weddings I've been to, they've had the best wedding cakes, and that is a cake from Michelangelo's Bakery on Broadview Road.
So, 4th of July, went to my sister-in-law's, and one of her friends brought a cake from Michelangelo's and was raving about it. And I had never heard of this place before.
Yeah, I'm so
She
shocked.
got a cassata cake. This cake was
Oh,
amazing.
I don't eat cassata cake, so.
I
But I
like
believe
pudding
if
in
it
my
came
cake.
from
I don't like
there,
icing.
yeah, if it came from there, I'm pretty sure it was good. So they have a winery there, and that's in Richfield. So I didn't get a chance to go. I was super excited. And then yesterday we got a chance to hang out with at Sapphire's house for Eddie's birthday. So
Oh, that's
just
nice.
a low key kickback. So busy weekend. And I just came from the zoo. So
And how was
yeah,
the zoo?
it was great. It was great. We got there at the perfect time and left right at 5 o'clock.
Sounds like
Okay,
fun.
okay. Okay. Well, I think what Kate shared with me was the perfect segue because Friday I was at Calling Company's PGA event out at Firestone Country Club. And right off of hole 16, I got to see one of my favorite golfers, Ernie Els, hit a pitch shot that would rival that of Tiger Woods' shot. I mean, it was just a beautiful thing. Had a great time. Their Saturday rolled into the band called Shining Star, which
Mm.
is an Earth, Wind, and Fire tribute band, Kate. They were
I
over
love
in,
that.
yeah, the city of Lorraine has a phenomenal Black River Festival. They do concerts just about every weekend in the
Yes.
summertime. So you've been. So that's
Yes.
where I got to see them. And yeah, the age
Girl,
demographic
if you're
fit
going to be in
really.
my neck of the woods, you got to tell me. I will show up. Oh, maybe that's why you didn't tell me, because you were
No,
afraid I would show up.
no. I literally just got back in town on like late Thursday night and went right into the weekend. But I do believe in not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, they're going to have a Queen tribute band. The
Oh,
following week, Motown. So, Kate, be looking for those texts.
Oh, text me, girl.
Yeah,
that sounds kind of fun. I might want to go. So
yeah,
let me know. Keep
yeah,
me
yeah.
posted.
And I wanted to co-sign. Shout out to our friend Eddie. I
Yeah.
love you, Eddie. I hope you had a nice time. And Kate, don't be late in the future. You're always invited to my home.
Good.
Happy birthday, Eddie.
That's right. Happy birthday.
So yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get into it, ladies. One of the things that's been going on because we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk, Guardians. Right now, they are on All Star break, and the All Star festivities are set to begin tomorrow, where I believe the Home Run Derby. We're going to talk some Guardians. We're going to talk a little bit WNBA. Rookie of the Year candidate. And then we're going to start playing the Browns schedule game because that's something that we hadn't touched. And we meant to get to it, but there's been so much happening in sports. But, the Browns are going to start at Greenbrier later on in this month. So we got about 2 weeks before they get going. So, it's perfect time to talk a little bit of Browns.
Yeah, did our producer get us the press credentials so we can get up in the Greenbrier? Where's Chris Styles at when you need him?
Well, we're going to be in Chicago. So we'll be in Chicago. So that'll be a great thing. So ladies, right now the Cleveland Guardians are kind of falling apart. I'm trying not to panic. You know how I get about this team right now. So they are still the second best team in all of the majors. They're right behind Philly, and they're 58-37. So they're the best in the American League, and they've only won 2 games since last Monday, since we last did our show. Right now, the Yankees in Baltimore have not been performing that well, and they've went on little slumps as well. So it's still allowed the Cleveland Guardians, even though they are, I believe, 4-6 in their last 10 games, it's allowed them to still be the best team in all of the AL, which I think is just, crazy to me. But, right now you can count one of the teams that the Guardians have always had trouble against is the Yankees. I don't think the Yankees are going to fall out of this race at all. So you're going to be going neck and neck, and Cleveland is going to have to get over that emotional hump that they have against the Yankees. But right now, this team is not doing very well going into All-Star break. What needs to change coming out of this All-Star break in order for this team to be successful? Because one of the things is every team that they're pretty much playing after this break is in contention except for Detroit. So they have a heck of a second season coming up right now to get to the playoffs. Now they're still on pace to win over 100 games and possibly be World Series contenders. But obviously the pitching is an issue, and it's going to continue to be an issue.
The pitching isn't your biggest problem. When Cookie gives you 6 innings and he only gives up 2 runs and you put up a big old fat 0, we need to sacrifice a chicken. We need hats for bats. We need Joe Boo's rum. We need whatever major league movie stuff you want to do. These boys need to learn to hit. They're not hitting consistently or well.
Remember when we bought goats during the World Series?
Goats, I'm going to buy buckets of fried chicken and just send over 25 buckets of KFC the next homestand and be like, dudes, they need to hit. The pitching isn't great, but it also hasn't been horrible. They're not losing 9-0.
Mm-hmm. Well, Detroit did blow them out 10-1 on that road trip.
Detroit is living rent-free in our head, and the White Sox for some reason as well. Those are 2 of the crappiest teams in baseball, and we can't beat a series. But I don't have to worry about them. In the long haul, I have to worry about the Yankees. I have to worry about those teams, and I'm going to need to be able to hit if I'm going to beat those teams.
Mm-hmm. I just think she always hits it on the head. I mean, there's really nothing I can say after that. I mean, the C word, hit consistently, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's right. So for me, I wonder, I know we're talking about baseball, but is there such a term as load management in baseball as well? Is it lost on anyone that this sort of respite that they're taking is running into the All-Star break, right? I mean, it's a long season. I hate to put that out there, but I just wonder, right? And then, for me, I really hope they keep Joshua away from Michael Anthony's Casada cakes while he's on the All-Star.
Oh my God.
Okay. Had to get it in.
Well, he's in Texas, so I know. Well, they probably eat Casada cakes, but Casada cakes are kind of a Cleveland thing too.
Oh, I thought it was an Italian thing.
Well, that too, but I really don't hear about anybody else talking about Casada cakes like that. So Casada cake is kind of like a Cleveland thing. I had Casada cake one time in my life, and that didn't go so hot. So
but it must not have been a good one. So
I had at Latronia Jones' 8th birthday party, and it's the first and last time I ever tried it because it did not sit well with my stomach.
Did they use the real
and that was what, 40 years ago?
Well, not that long, Catherine, but close.
Kate, if we really
just playing
doing these road games and we go to the Philly game and the DC game, we'll drive her through South Philly and give her the real authentic experience with Casada cakes.
Oh, y'all eat them in Philly like that?
Oh my gosh, South Philly? Woo!
Oh yeah.
Them things should be banned in all 50 states, just like threading. It should be illegal in every state. No.
My gosh.
I passed out while I got my eyebrows
What?
threaded.
I love
Yes.
threading.
She
Oh
got
my
no
God.
pain tolerance,
It should
Sapphire.
be illegal.
None.
I passed out. I fainted. First time in my life, I fainted. And when she finished, she was like, "Was you asleep?" I was like, "No, I was unconscious."
Oh my god.
And she was like, "Let me hit that lip." And I used the expletive and like, "Get away from me."
Wow.
I didn't cuss at her, but I was like, "No."
Oh my god.
And nobody checked on me while I passed out. Like all I saw was just like these stars, and I felt blinding pain, my eyes tearing up, and then the next thing I know, I came to.
See, that's because you have a game face all the time. Your facial expression never changes. She may have legit thought you were asleep.
No, I wasn't asleep. I was unconscious. I fainted.
All right. Eyebrow threading is not a sport. Maybe a contact sport. I mean, I know they went 2-4 rolling into the All-Star break, but they have been playing really well this year. I think it is entirely possible that maybe they mentally checked out a little bit. They had a little bit of a tough stretch there at the end, but they're off until Friday, and all we can do is watch and see. I was not surprised by their pick in the draft the other day. I was not happy, but I was not surprised.
Really?
Tell us
Yeah.
why. Share why you were not surprised like I was.
I can't hear her.
You can't hear?
Can you hear me now? Ruh-roh.
Uh-oh, is she asking me questions? Maybe it's just are you leaning back? It's very soft.
I'm right here.
Yeah, no, she's talking into the
I
microphone.
got my
okay.
full Nubian lips pressed against the microphone.
All right.
Can you hear now?
Yeah.
Okay. What'd you ask her?
I was curious why she was not shocked. I was very shocked they picked the Aussie.
Oh, because it's all that they have been talking about was that they was going to pick him. So
It was him and Charlie Condon, and I liked him better, but they liked Bazana. So, I mean, he's an Oregon State dude. I mean, he hits well. At least he did.
School.
He hit well in school, so we'll see if he continues to hit well. And maybe that's what they were thinking is we need the best bat we can get. I don't know if he was it, but he was, he was on their short list from day one. He's a second baseman, so he's the first ever. I think he was the first ever second baseman to be taken first. But I don't know that they took him because of the position he plays or his defense. I think they took him because of his bat. And so I'm not surprised, and I can't complain because I was just complaining that we're not hitting the ball. Can he come and play after the All-Star break, or does he got to wait till next season?
Yeah, you got to wait till next season. Because I was like, how long is he gonna, be in the minors for? Is he gonna be somebody that they're looking up to accelerate and put him in the majors, very soon? I mean, he had some crazy numbers. I mean, when he was
I know the Major League Baseball drafts.
Baseball.
I know the baseball drafts, like all 50 of them or however many they are very different from football. But to my mind, if you go top 10 in this draft, you best be accelerating your way up to the majors. That's where the really high-end talent goes. Those guys should be the ones that are closest to starting ready. You know what I'm saying? We talk about that in football, Rachel. Top 10 picks in the first round better be good enough to start week one, especially quarterbacks. But the same thing with baseball. They have so many drafts and they have so much depth in that whole minor league system that you've got to look in those first handful of picks of guys that are the closest to being ready to play. You ain't got time for projects.
Kate's always on it. Factoid, Bazana became just the 8th second baseman to go in the top 10 and beat Ricky Weeks, who was the second overall pick by the Brewers in 2003 for the earliest selection at his position. Way to bring it home, Kate.
Yeah, so also history was made too. He was the first Australian player selected number one overall, and the first time Cleveland has ever had a first round number one pick. That's so shocking, and since we've been around since 1901, and this is the first time that they've had a number one pick. But I trusted this front office. You know, I trust in them, and they've managed to have great picks. And then, obviously, kind of like with football too, Kate, that these picks, they don't, you don't get anything out of them for 3-4 years down the line. So, one of the things is this team is great at developing people. They're definitely great at developing pitchers. So, I hate saying it's going to be interesting, but I'm looking forward to seeing what his journey is going to be, because he was a beast in Australia, and then he came to Oregon State. Stephen Kwan probably he's probably talked with Stephen Kwan a lot and got some tips from him. They attended the same alma mater, so I'm sure they've been in contact. But I'm super excited for this kid and what he could possibly do for the franchise later down the line.
Great points. And another factoid, the Guardians had only a 2% chance of landing the number one pick and wound up selecting first for the first time in franchise history. Way to bring it home, Rachel.
Yeah, I hate the lottery system. I believe it should be the worst team. But
the last time they even sniffed the top of the draft, they had the second pick, and we got Paul Shuey in 1992. Yeah. That's how long it's been since they've been anywhere. Like, we don't even pay attention to the major league draft, right?
Nope.
This kid's been hitting consistently above 400. I'm not surprised by the pick. It wasn't what I would have done, but I think they're thinking, who can we get up to the majors faster, as opposed to who has more upside, who has more ceiling. If we develop them over time and in a few years in our system, they're probably guys that could be better players, but I think Bazana can be better faster, if that makes sense.
Interesting. I was curious. Was it Nick we had on last week from Lake
County? Oh, Tim Shire.
Tim Shire, yeah.
Lake County Sentinel.
Yes, his pick went 6th, a 2-way player. I was a little surprised he went, not that that's low, but just based on what Kate said, and you want to have.
But everybody needs different things, right? And if he's in a position with the skill set that your team doesn't need in football, because the draft is laid out by how bad you are, everybody at the top needs everything. In baseball, because it's a lottery, you could have whoever won the World Series last year picking second. Like, those teams didn't need the things they needed. So I love him. I don't think going 6 I think what you were saying, Sapphire, I don't think his going 6th has anything to really do with his talent or ability. He wasn't the 6th best player in the draft. He was just the best guy on the board for a position of need, and when Team 6 got there.
Got it. I was more thinking the Guardians need hitting. 2-way hitter. Prove it. So I don't know. I don't know if these things really go.
Yeah, before we go to commercial too, they also, picked in the second round Braylon Doherty, who is a right-handed pitcher, and also a catcher, Jacob Cozart. So they also picked them on Sunday night as well. So, we need pitching, obviously. You need to develop these pitchers and get them into the system, right now. And also, too, you got Bo Naylor too. So this is supposed to be, this is years down the line. So right now, Bo is your catcher for the future. You also got David Fry, who's a catcher occasionally as well too. So, I wonder what their thought pattern is going to be with that. But I trust in them. I trust in the process. And we're going to go ahead and take a break really quick. You are listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Okay. Excellent. You recording?
Yep.
Dude looks jacked too. Six 5. He is 6'5".
Who?
Caglione.
Oh.
Probably still growing for another year. Let's see what our guy is. He's got that mafioso nose, that real thick, like Al Capone nose. He's gonna smother the plate.
All right, welcome back to Her and the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports. Make sure you're always keeping it locked right here on WOVU 95.9 FM on your regular radio dial. You can download the WOVU app and take us with you on the go. Or you can also listen online at WOVU.org. And I'm back here with my girls. This is the First Lady of Sports. I'm back here with Sapphire Blue. And I'm here with Cleveland Kate. What's up, ladies? How y'all doing?
6'5", 250.
And who was that again?
Jack Caglione.
And he got taken by the Kansas City Royals. So depending on what they do with him, we may be having to face him in our division when he comes ready for the majors.
He looks beast. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah. But Travis is a left-handed hitter. I know he's a switch hitter, but Travis hits left, and left-handers I think have an edge, and I think they also, the pitchers, they adjust to them more in later innings and in tight games. You'll see a lot more changes in the bullpen based on matching up with left and right-handed hitters versus pitchers. And so maybe that was part of the Guardians' thought process as well, is get a lefty in here that's hitting 400. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm excited for him.
He's hitting left,
It's
right?
just like,
he's aiming down the first base line.
yeah, it's like,
right.
you know,
So if he's hitting for power and he's dropping them deep, you've got a guys coming in from second and third that can get around, where your right-handed hitter is going to lean more towards, the third base line, which makes it's an easier throw for the outfielder to catch a guy at home than if he's coming all the way across. Hey. These are the things I think about, Rachel. Look at you making that face at me.
6 foot, 199.
Is she going to ask him to drop and pick up a pencil or something?
No, I'm looking at
8 inches, 50 pounds.
Okay, then.
Tell her, Sapphire. Who?
That would be our pick, Travis Pisano.
Okay. That's not too bad.
I mean, but no, I appreciate what Kate's saying, because you want to move the ducks on the pond. I mean, that's what this is really all about. So it'll be interesting, like you say, to see if he can live up to the hype. God bless him, all that pressure at 20, 21 years old. So we'll see.
Well, it's a good thing that this franchise isn't in a bad position. So he's coming to a franchise that's doing really well right now. It'd be different if, this is like Kate said, this is like football, and you're getting drafted to the worst franchise, and you really have a lot of pressure and you're expected to do so many things. But right now, this team is in contention for a World Series. So all you are is just an added value, but there's not pressure on you to turn this franchise around as soon as you step onto the field. Yeah. So you have time to develop and grow and go through the minor league system, for a couple years before you get to the major league. You have time to get ready, and hopefully they'll still be, a good franchise, years down the road, so you can just step right in and be okay instead of having all that pressure on you, because this is one of the worst teams in baseball. We're not in that position right now, so that's definitely a good thing.
And I don't know if correct me if I'm wrong. I do not know a lot about baseball drafts. I know there's multiple ones, and they have an extensive farm system, so it could be literally years before any of these kids actually play in the major league. I'm much more comfortable with baseball with football and even basketball. But the one thing I was told today is that for this draft that they just had, those players can decide to go back to school in the fall.
Yeah.
And if they do, they're put back into the draft next year, which I think is an advantage for Cleveland, because he's going to want to play for us. He's going to want to come into our minor league system because we are good. And the sooner he can get in and work his way up, the sooner he comes to play with. Jack over in Kansas City may be like, y'all, I think I'm going to go back to school and see if a better team can get me next year. Like, you don't know how they're making those decisions. They don't have, in my opinion, the physical injury concerns that, say, a sophomore in college does. If I don't want to play one more year of college football because if I get hurt, my career is over. In baseball, it's not a contact sport like that. They do have injuries, but it's not at the frequency or the severity that you see in football. So I could see them being willing to go back to school for a year and just come out in next year's draft and see what happens. You know what I mean? I don't think we have to worry about that with Travis. I think whoever the Guardians were going to take at 1 is going to be more than happy to come play baseball for us when they're done, when it's time.
Maybe the Browns should have drafted Jack. 6'8". I don't think he's going to be having any.
We already drafted a former baseball pitcher. His name was Brandon Whedon, and he was older than dirt. And how did that work for us?
And he got lost under the flag.
You're never going to let that go, are you, Rachel? You're going to make sure we all remember that till the day.
How do you get lost under the flag? That's all I want to know. So,
hey,
okay,
you know, it's
so
a big flag. I have held that flag. I have been with a charitable organization that has gone to hold the flag, and it's not easy to hold on to it.
Really? So it's easy
I
to
could
get
understand how once you're under there, you ain't getting out again.
All right, Kate, continue to make excuses for him. I'm just kidding. Excuse me. So, before we get to WNBA talk right quick. So the Guardians, not only are we coming up on All-Star, second half of the season, but also the trade deadline will be coming soon at the end of July. What moves do you guys foresee we need to make in order to propel this team into being even more contenders? Because this team hasn't made a major move since 2016, since they brought what was his name? Sorry, Andrew Miller, excuse me. Since for that World Series run, and they haven't made a major move since. This team normally stands pat, but once again, here you are, contention very early for a World Series run, a possible World Series run. What does this team need to do, or can they stand pat? I definitely believe they need to get a pitcher in. Not Spencer Howard, who came in recently and got knocked out after 3 innings against Detroit. But I believe that they need to get a bat, and they need to get a pitcher in here ASAP.
I would totally agree. Pitching, that is all I think about for the second half of the year, right? Now, who that could be, no clue. And if it can't be pitching, I'm a hold.
A hold? What's that mean?
Like no change. Just
oh, okay.
We got first-year head coach. We got his pieces in place based on what he's seen in the training camp and all of that. If I can't get the pitcher that I want, I wouldn't mess with it.
Yeah. Like you said, I don't know who that player would be necessarily. Who they can take off of another team. But the trade deadline is July 30th. And right now they I forgot what player that they were talking about. Not from Tampa. I think they might have been talking about Randy Rosarino this week when we played the Rays, I believe, possibly get him in because his contract.
There were talks about the Rangers too. I saw a couple things, and it was like a 2-for-1 trade. Like they give us 2 of their pitchers, we give them 1 of ours. They need to unload some salary and some dead weight. We've also got some very, very nice prospects that we could trade. Because you can trade prospects too. You can trade guys in your minor league system for a major league player. It's difficult when you're sending as many people to the All-Star break game as we are to be like, because in my opinion, none of them are available. None of them are available. Mm-hmm. And there are a couple other people that are not going, that are not available. Frankly, aside from pitchers, none of my other position players are available. I'm not getting rid of any of them. I'm kind of with Sapphire. If you want to give me a couple pitchers for maybe 1 or 2 guys out of my bullpen, I might be okay with that. But I'm of the if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I don't know that they're broke. I think we have the talent to hit the ball. We've proven it earlier in the season. Vogt just needs to figure out what's going on with them and get them right and get them some coaching, working on the, hitting coaches or something, figure out what's going on with these dudes, because I think they have the talent to hit better than they have been in the last few weeks. I don't know that there's one name that we need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that Texas thing you were talking about, they were talking about possibly trading for, here we go, left-handed starting pitcher. They would acquire left-handed starting pitcher Andrew Heaney and right-handed starter Michael Lorenzen in exchange for left-hander Will Dion, who I've never even heard of before, but I'm assuming Will Dion is probably one of our prospects. So that could be a trade that could be made. And, Texas is just coming off of a World Series themselves. So that would be a very interesting trade, in order to get them over here to possibly help us make the World Series as well. So as far as I believe we can, use one more bat, I'm definitely down with that. Minor tweaks because, despite what's going on with pitching, this team is still chugging along. But, you don't want to get into deep holes and try to get out of those. So that's one of the things that this team really hasn't been able to do. They're able to, get a couple runs, or whatever, and catch up and tie. But when you get into a whole, 5-0, Tristan McKenzie was very lucky a few weeks ago when we were able to win that game, because normally it doesn't happen like that. So, a team rip off 2 to 3 runs, the Guardians can keep up with that, but not when you get a huge hole like that, 10-0 and stuff like that. So that doesn't help. But I think we're right there, and just, small moves, but they definitely have to make a big move like they did in 2016 in order to get this team to the World Series.
So I'm just so curious. You say that with such passion. Like, what are your expectations for the Guardians this year?
World Series.
World Series, straight up.
Yeah, make it to the World Series.
You got that poker face on. That's the same expression you probably had in the chair. He was threatening you, and she didn't realize you were knocked out. Kate, if you could, well, you already know the look. What about you, Kate? What expectations do you have for the Guardians this season?
What?
She said, what expectations do you have for the Guardians this season?
World Series.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There are no excuses. Series. There are no excuses with this team and this talent. No excuses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was going to give them a pass this year because it's Vogt's first year, but they're on pace to win 100 games. He don't need a pass.
Yeah.
You don't need a pass.
Manager of the year too.
That's what I'm saying.
Manager of the year.
I got a
They did not make the playoffs last year.
Play it. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Get her done.
Yeah. Sapphire, what's your expectation?
I mean, I don't think World Series. I just don't. I don't. You know how I feel about these things? There are 2 halves to the season. Sorry, I just don't. To your point, if you look at the records of the teams we're going to be playing in the second half, I don't see World Series. I see playoffs, but not World Series victory. I don't see that.
What round?
Finals.
So you think they can make it to the World Series, just not win?
I think they could make it, but not win. Correct.
Okay. Well, the Phillies are buzzing along, so we'll have an excellent test in just a couple weeks about, possibly the Phillies could be in World Series contention. But you know what? Baseball is so weird. It doesn't necessarily mean that the Phillies will make it. It doesn't necessarily mean the Guardians will make it. Pray and hope to God that they do.
I'm just worried about the American League. We got to get by Baltimore and New York. That's it. Baltimore and New York. I can at least get to the championship game, right? I should be able to get through one of them. But I think when we talked about this a few weeks ago, one of the things that I said was, ask me in August. Let me get a couple weeks after the All-Star break and see if they get right back to winning, or if they slug into it, or see how they look in the second half before I make any more bold predictions. But I'm a homer and I'm always going positive. So of course I think they can get to the World Series, but they should at least be able to get to the league championship round, to the pennant round.
All right, let's take a break right quick. I said a break. Let's take a break right quick.
Need a brick.
Yeah, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of WNBA. Fox News took issue with Dawn Staley and her Rookie of the Year pick. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break and come back with WNBA. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. I'm here with my girls, Cleveland Kate and Sapphire Blue, and we were just talking some Guardians as they move into the second part of the season after they enjoyed this All-Star break, and then they come back on Friday night and they play the San Diego Padres. And they're going to play against Manny Machado. So that should be a very good matchup. And, you're going to watch them go ahead in the second half of the season and see where they can get. I'm saying World Series or bust for this team. Even if they don't win, it would be so devastating if they don't win. But I definitely think that they can be the best team in all of Major League, the American League come out of it. They just have to get past the Yankees. That's where they're at right now. But right now, Baltimore is leading. They are leading in the AL East. So right now, getting past either of those two teams is we got to go through either of those two teams to make it to the World Series. So I think it can be done. So let's get it going. WNBA Rookie of the Year. A lot is taking place right now for that award. Right now, Caitlin Clark is living up to the hype of being the number one overall pick. But Angel Reese has been dominant as well. So Clark did receive the most votes for All-Star Game next week, and Reese has a record of 15 consecutive double-doubles. Dawn Staley stirred up a little bit of controversy, I guess, with Fox News. Not like I count on them as a source of news, but I definitely thought it was very interesting. So she says in this moment, Rookie of the Year belongs to Reese. She said they're both having great years. Don't get me wrong. If I had to pick a Rookie of the Year at this time, it's Angel, not a doubt, what she's been able to do with the double doubles. But the season is halfway through, and Caitlin is coming. So Clark has her own streak going. She's recorded 20 points and 13 assists for her fifth consecutive double doubles, and she's registered 13 assists in each of her last 3 games. So Reese is averaging 13.8 points on 11.8 rebounds per game on 41.1% shooting from the floor, while Clark is 16.8 points, 7.8 assists, and 5.9 boards on 40.3% shooting and 34% from field goal range. So right now, Reese is doing something with double doubles, and Clark's assists are ranked second. So they're ranked first and second in points among rookies. So, you guys, what are your thoughts on Rookie of the Year? I think we should see how the season plays out. They both are not on good teams, so I think that it just you need a little bit more time before you can crown the Rookie of the Year. But I believe that it's going to be Caitlin Clark, even though Angel Reese has came out and dominated from the very beginning. It took Caitlin Clark some time to get going, but I think eventually she's going to be one crowned Rookie of the Year.
I mean, for me, I feel like it's similar to like MLB. It's a long season, to your point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're not there yet. But I also feel like it's hard for me to define it any other way than what team is going to win the championship. So I look at it backwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's complicated when you talk about players that are they have different roles on the team too, because that can dictate, right, how
Mm-hmm.
much they get the ball, what their opportunities are, high risk, low risk, risk probability buckets, who's going to play more defense than the other. So for me, it is that at the end of the year, which team is up in there holding up the trophy, and then I'm looking at that. Who's the MVP?
It ain't gonna be either one of those teams.
Exactly. There's other people that are in contention for the MVP. Remember that.
Yeah.
So, as far as Dawn Staley, look, North Philly, I can't say anything, but I love her. So she was asked to give her opinion about a situation in the moment. I think she did it. I completely agree with her with what she said.
Mm-hmm. Kay, where you at?
Who do I think should win it, or what do I think would be best for the WNBA? Because for the WNBA, we've already got a little rivalry cooking, right? We got the Angel Reese people, you got the Caitlin Clark people. I'm saying if they are both playing this caliber down to the wire, that you have co-rookies of the year. They've never done that in the WNBA. They've done it in the NBA. I remember mid-90s, Grant Hill and Jason Kidd. They didn't know who to pick. They tied. They had two. They've done it like 3 or 4 times in the NBA. This is the perfect time, if their performance stays where it's at, to do this for the WNBA, because that continues to fuel the fire. That continues to fuel that rivalry that's getting people watching and bringing more fans to the sport, because then it's going to be, all right, we tied for Rookie of the Year. Now we're competing for MVP. Now we're competing to get our team up into the finals so that we can be the MVP of the league. It would be best for the WNBA to not pick one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unless one of them knocks everybody's socks off and then just separates herself from the other. Mm-hmm. But if the end of the season was tomorrow, I'd be having co-winners. And it's a cop-out, but I think it's the smart move. From a PR standpoint, it's the smart move for the WNBA.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. And I think, not saying I want Caitlin Clark to win, but I think it's going to be Caitlin Clark, because I think that would draw even more fans to the sport. I kind of look at this like a Bird versus Magic. There's also a racial element as well, painting, Angel Reese as the villain and Caitlin Clark as his all-American type woman. So there's also, that racial animus, that's being drawn into, this game, and people who didn't watch, the WNBA now just watching it towards Caitlin Clark, and she can do nothing wrong. You see her pushing off a whole bunch, and those push-offs, or it should be offensive fouls. They're not being called whatsoever. So, you're seeing her be able to get away with stuff, because if you blow on her, people want you jailed. So, I think that there's a couple different elements to it. And I think that, Caitlin Clark is, a beast. She's balling. I've been a fan of hers, since she was in college, never against Ohio State though. But, when I first heard about her as a junior and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, this is exciting, good for her and stuff like that. So, she is going to be the focal point of this league for years to come.
All of those are fair points. But for me, at the end of the day, basketball is a team sport. And I find a double-double to be of more value to a team and their ability to win games than one person putting up 40, 50 points.
Okay.
And she's doing it consistently. She got 15 in a row. She was 1 shot away, 2 points away from 16 in a row. Do you know what I mean? I think for a team, there's more value in someone who is consistently giving you a double-double.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was voting today, I'd vote Angel Reese.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But that's style of play, kind of that's my reasoning. I'm sure Dawn Staley and all these other people have their own ideas of because it's not most valuable player, but it kind of is most valuable rookie kind of a thing is how I do it. everyone has their own criteria on what they use to make that selection. So if you're going to, I think it's best for the sport if they have two. But if I had to pick one right now, it would be Angel Reese.
Yeah, because she's getting in there and doing the dirty work. Nobody wants to play defense. Nobody wants to play in the low block. Everybody wants to shoot and be glamorous, but she's in there doing the dirty work. And, I appreciate that about her. And it's rough, being in there, in the low block area and playing in that area and stuff like that.
Yep.
So, I definitely, I was that I'm rooting for I'm rooting for everybody, but I think we noticed the hype machine and all that other stuff, what's going to happen and the PR move that's going to be made. So, it is what it is, and we'll see what happens, and best of luck to both ladies. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and then we're going to announce some Browns news, and then we're going to start playing our schedule game. So we're going to play that over the next few weeks leading up to the season. So we'll take a quick break. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
You can say anything about Jacoby Jones?
Oh, yeah, we can.
I'll let you do that. That was weird. That they said passed away peacefully in his sleep. How do you do that at 40 years old? Damn. Or I should say young. I have a craving for fried chicken.
Huh. We just had some at the zoo.
Did you?
Yeah, he had some chicken.
How was it?
It was good. Mm-hmm.
It was pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, they were big.
Did Eddie send you guys that picture of the caricature?
Oh.
I asked him. You know what? I didn't know he had to go to work after he left.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel, the First Lady of Sports. I'm here for Cleveland Kate and Sapphire as well. And, first of all, I want to give some condolences to the family of Jacoby Jones, correct? He was a former member of the Baltimore Ravens. He played in Super Bowl, the Super Bowl against the Super Bowl against the 49ers when the power went out.
Yeah.
So a Super Bowl champion. He had the longest run back in NFL history and Super Bowl history of was it a kick return or a punt return? A kick return. So, passed away in his sleep at the age of 40. So, rest in peace and condolences to his family. But news just broke that the Cleveland Browns did give Dustin Hopkins a 3-year, $15.9 million extension. So, for kicker Dustin Hopkins, so we have that position set for us. Dustin Hopkins was a great kicker this past year. Before he came, I was told that he was no better than Cade York, but he proved that he was. So now we got some special teams, stuff going on. Bubba Ventrone, so he has opportunity to, keep going with that good juju. But what are you guys' thoughts about locking up Dustin Hopkins?
Kickers' lives matter.
Yes, and my two words are praise Jesus.
Praise Jesus. Okay, I'll take that. So, one of the things that we haven't did, and we're gonna do over the next few weeks, like last night when we were at Sapphires, we started talking about what our Browns prediction was, and I'm like, we never got to that on the show because so much has, happened when the Browns schedule came out. The Cavs were, knee deep, in their season and stuff like that. So, I wanted to start to play the schedule game here over the next few weeks to see what the Cleveland Browns, could possibly do. I have them going, what did I say? 12-5, I think. So the first game is against the Dallas Cowboys. This game is going to be so exciting. This is one. What time does this game start? This game start at
4:25.
Okay, so primetime game. This would be Tom Brady's first game, right, as a commentator, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so that just lets you know that there's a lot of hype surrounding this game. The Dallas Cowboys, didn't, well, they had a great season last year. They just choked in the playoffs. That's where they're at right now. This Dallas Cowboys team is not the Dallas Cowboys team of the 1990s. So I'm thinking for this season, it all comes down to health. You're going to be getting Nick Chubb back. You're going to be getting Deshaun Watson back. Deshaun Watson is supposed to play this first game of the season, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So you have them. You're going to have all the hype. This is a prime time game. I think the Browns are going to come out ready for this game, and I think that they're going to be able to do something that they did. And what was it, 2020, when they beat Dallas on the road in Dallas? I think that they're going to be able to win this game. Where are you guys
First
at?
of all, you're talking crazy because we don't win home openers.
We're going to win this one.
I got us going 13-4. I don't know who you think we're going to lose to. I got four teams that I don't think we can beat. That's it.
Okay. I know the Chiefs is one of them, right?
The Chiefs is one of them.
I think we can beat the Chiefs. We always play the Chiefs tough. And we got them at home?
No.
As long as a magical flag don't come out at the very end of the game to give Patrick Mahomes something, to like in the big games that he normally play against in Philly and the Super Bowl and against Buffalo, the magical flags that come out at the end of games to help Kansas City win. I think the Browns can beat Kansas City. But I believe that the Cleveland Browns can beat the Dallas Cowboys coming in here. You're going to have the same defense. You also added a new linebacker to replace Taki. I think that they're going to be able to stymie down Dak Prescott.
So when the Chargers come to town, are we wearing Browns gear or Buckeyes gear?
Browns gear all the way, baby. I got my Buckeye gear for Saturday.
Because Evil Harbaugh will be in town. I can't. I'm glad we're not going there. That's all I'm saying. I got 4 weeks that I think we're going to struggle, and that's it. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe next week we'll go week by week, and I'll tell you who those 4 are. Preseason should be fun. I don't believe Deshaun will take a snap in preseason because there's only 3 games. We have 2 home, Packers and Vikings, and then we go to Seattle. And I think they're going to be too focused on trying to figure out who the roster cuts are, getting to the 53-man, figuring out who the official backup quarterback is. DTR is probably going to get a lot of snaps. It'll be an interesting mix of people. I don't think Nick Chubb will take a snap in preseason.
I don't want them to. They should.
I don't want anyone that I need for the regular. Y'all ain't that rusty. We'll figure it out. It's a long season. I don't make predictions on playoffs and things until after week 6. Let them shake the rust off, figure out what's going on. All these teams have to maximize those three preseason games to figure out what their roster cuts are. So they'll at least the weather will be nice. Maybe people will go watch them in August.
I like the Green Bay Packers coming to town. I abhor the Green Bay Packers, so they don't come to Cleveland that often. I wish that they were coming in a regular season game. I think about what they did to us Christmas night a few years ago, with Baker Mayfield, and Baker didn't play the best either. But, I think that even though nobody's really going to play in that preseason game, I think, it's a great, it's another primetime preseason game. Nobody cares about preseason games, but I like being able to play the Green Bay Packers.
I do too. And our division plays the NFC East, which you can no longer call the NFC least. It's the NFC East. But we get them like in the first 8 weeks. We have Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders, Giants. We have them early. And I like that because these are all teams that are either very good or should be good this year. Towards the second half of the year, they're going to be a tougher opponent than they are early in the season. And so I like our chances with taking those teams, even the Eagles. I like our chances with them earlier in the year compared to where our division competitors have some of those games later in the year. I think they're going to have a harder time. Going to have a harder time with like the Eagles and Cowboys second half of the season. So I like our schedule. I like the way our opponents are split out. I like having the East early. I'll stop talking so Sapphire can talk because I know she's sitting there going, Kate don't never shut up and I don't ever get to talk.
No, I have nothing but love for you. It's that Philly thing that got me going. There's no way the Browns are going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles.
You never know.
Full stop.
See,
You never know.
I have 6 losses on the schedule. So when we come back to this next Monday, we can take a deeper dive. And I believe
they are one of my 4, but we are in Philly, which is why I have them as one of my 4. Even though it's early in the season, it's at home in Philly, and that's just going to be a brutal game.
It's going to be a
brutal game.
Now, I do believe that Deshaun needs to get his rump out there in preseason. That's just me. Okay? So we'll see what they do.
Yeah, no, I'm not buying it. I want him protected as long as possible. So, he will come out rusty in that Cowboys game, not playing for a year, at this point. But, I'm willing to believe that, with cohesion and through, the regular season and stuff like that, he's going to be okay. You got a chance to see what he could do, and I believe that he could do better, starting out that Baltimore game. You got a chance to see a glimpse, a little bit of the old Deshaun. So, he's going to be rusty in that Dallas Cowboys game, but I don't want him touching the ball during preseason at all.
Okay.
So you sit him out for the Green Bay game to let our offensive linemen get some rest off. And because that first week, you're going to be facing defensive guys who are trying to earn a spot and may take cheap shots. So he's going to sit out Green Bay. I would play him one series in the Vikings game because it's the second week and you're at home. And I would play him one series to just kind of get a feel for home court, see how he does. And then the third week, we're on the road, we're in Seattle. And I would throw him one series there as well, maybe in the second half. Like, you've got to think of all the things that could go wrong. The last thing we need is a preseason injury that knocks him out for the regular season. But I do think he needs a series or 2 somewhere in there. I would submit that our defense is good enough that they give him a hard time in practice. And so while they're not an opposing defense, I don't think they make it easy for him. When you've got a team whose defense sucks, your quarterback doesn't get any work until you go to preseason. And I think our defense is good enough, especially our line, our front 4 are good enough to get pressure on him. They're going to test the offensive line and how much time he has. And so in practice, that may be enough for him. But I would like him to get a series or 2 in the second and third preseason game. That's just me.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, no, I'm like, put that guy in bubble wrap and keep him off the field. And like I said, I know he's going to be rusty, and that's okay. They have a home opener. They're not going on the road the first game. I definitely believe that they can beat the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm excited for that game to open up. So, ladies, it's our time. That was quick. That was a great show. So next week we're going to take on more Browns because Greenbrier is coming up very, very soon in less than 2 weeks. So we're going to start talking Browns more. But congratulations to Dustin Hopkins for getting that extension. Yes. So for Kate, for Sapphire, for the First Lady of Sports, you've been listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM, and we are out of here.
Oh.
Hey, so when are you free, Kate?
We'll have